Don't say that. Don't say that publicly.
This is what happened with
Dangerous
he said it
statement.
generally for a lot of other things.
Clause B of para 2(1) of the 10th schedule gives effect to the principle and sentiment by imposing a disqualification on a member who votes or abstains from voting contrary to any directions. The provisions, however, recognize two exceptions. One, when the member abstains from the political party prior permission to vote or abstain from voting, and the other, when the member has voted without obtaining such permission, but his action has been condoned by the political party. This provision itself accommodates the possibility that there may be occasions when a member may vote or abstain from voting contrary to the directions of the party belongs. This in itself again may provide a clue to the proper understanding and construction of the expression any direction in clause B of paragraph 2(1), whether really all directions or whips from the party entail the statutory consequence, and whether having regard to the extraordinary nature and sweep of the power, the very serious consequences that flow, including the extreme penalty of disqualification, the expression should be given a meaning confining its operation to the context indicated by the objects and purposes of the 10th schedule. We shall deal with this aspect separately. It is thus submitted that it is the political party which appoints the chief whip and not the legislative party. The political party is headed by the leadership, and this factum of leadership is not in dispute. Organizational elections in Shiv Sena were held on 27/2/2018. Well, that's a wrong date. Actually, it's 23rd January 2018. And the leadership structure of the party was intimated to ECI, wherein it is clearly stated that Uddhav Thackeray is the Paksh Pramukh. It may not be out of place that under the Maharashtra legislative members' removal of disqualification rules, which I've read.
You already shown.
So, I'll skip that. The whips are the directions issued by the political party and not the members of the legislative party or the leaders of the legislature. Then Erskine May says, whip serves as an intermediate between the leaders and parliamentary membership of their parties in order to keep each informed of the views of the other, which is what I was mentioning to your lordships. Made great efforts to bring their the phrase adopted by Burke caught public fancy and soon became popular. Then let us kindly come to 183, skip the 5-6 lines on top, and the sentence on the right side, they keep members supplied with information. They were talking about whips. Joseph has that. They keep members supplied with information about the business of the House. What happens traditionally is, the members do not know the business of the House because the business of the House is decided by what is called the Business Advisory Committee. And only some members of the House of political parties are members of that committee. So every week, couple of times, every week, a meeting takes place as to what should be the business for the next week. So that's decided, and then it is announced in the House. On that basis, the whip then informs the members of the House that this is going to be the business. These are the bills that are to be debated. This is the position that we have to take on the bills. Therefore, you please prepare your speeches in the context of the position of the party. That's the job of the whip. Now, it's not that. That is not the job of somebody who says, I am a group leader and I will decide. That is why the whip is appointed by the political party, for that very reason.
On general parliamentary business, how specific are the whips? I mean, this is not unrelated to this case. I mean,
what is a WhatsApp message is sent to us? Three lines at the end. Underlining, otherwise you have to be present, otherwise action will be taken against.
This is a whip.
And you come and vote, and this is how you have to vote. A three-line whip will come, vote for this bill, vote against this resolution. So each one under a WhatsApp, that message is sent. So we have to be present. They're very generous, because while we argue, our cases, proceedings are going on, so we're not present. So they don't trouble us too much.
Special exemption 9 schedule. Special 9 schedule.
That holds for Mr. Jetmalani also, right?
Well, my personal opinion, this is my personal, I don't want to say it. The fact of the matter is, if you want to practice, you should practice. You want to be in Parliament, devote your time to Parliament. That should be. Otherwise, we can only perform one function, we can't perform both. Anyway, that's another matter. No, it's not that. It's not that. It's what happens is that the key issues of the party are nowadays before the court. And they want us to be here. And slowly Mr. Jetmalani will realize as the burden increases that he might also have to do that.
Just one second aside about coming out of the halls of Parliament, a very leading left leader mentioned inside the House that lawyers, chartered accountants, doctors, and other similar people should not be in Parliament. They should concentrate on their profession. Mr. Jetli and I were talking in the lobbies once. So when he came out, a good friend of ours, we told him that you want Parliament only to consist of unemployed and unemployable persons.
Don't say that. Don't say that publicly.
This is what happened.
He
said it generally for a lot of others. He says, I'm taking his example. He said it for a large class of professionals, not lawyers alone. Yeah. So there is a certain amount of input you bring in if you are otherwise also gainfully employed.
That's true. But lawyers in many jurisdictions are not